COVID-19 pandemic hitting and tampering with normalcy of activities across the globe, there has been a silent pandemic that continues to eat greedily inside the Kenyan education system, especially secondary schools. An estimated 35 schools across the country have been set on fire in the last 1 month. Since the outbreak of the coronavirus in the country in March of 2020, schools were closed for several months until late last year, which led to the education system in the country to put more pressure on teachers and students to recover the time lost. But be that as it may, where there's smoke, there is fire. And that's why on this show, we are joined by former Secretary General of NAT, Wilson Sossion, spokesperson of the Teachers Pressure Group, who is also a teacher, Martha Omolo, and finally, an education expert, Dr. John Mogo. Would also like to engage you on this discussion. Who is to blame for the surge of cases in schools fires? Who is to blame for the surge of cases of school fires? WhatsApp us on 0785 939 529, 0785 939 529, or at Switch TV Kenya at Fred Mutiriri. That is on Twitter. Welcome. My name is Frederick Mutiriri, and you're watching Tipping Point.
The boards of management of our schools and institutions and principals, as well as heads of schools, should be empowered and supported to deal with extreme indiscipline cases in our schools. We need to review ways of maintaining discipline in our schools through deliberate, coordinated efforts of correction, mentorship, counseling, and effective chaplains ministry. Especially the parents also should be more involved in this process.
Well, it's been a month of school fires, and joining me right now is Martha Omolo. Karibu sana to Switch TV.
Asante.
Nimekuwa nikikuona kwa matelevisheni tu ukizungumzia hali ya walimu. How has it been?
It has not been easy because as we speak, 14 members have been transferred to far-flung areas.
Why is this?
They
told you spoke too much?
Yeah, I think we scratched somebody the wrong way by mentioning the health scheme. And it is a form of punishment because what they are creating to the society or wherever we have been posted is like them, they don't matter. Nairobi matters, any other place matters. But when I'm taken to Trans Nzoia, and I'm sure even the county director Trans Nzoia,
you are taken to Trans Nzoia?
Yeah. I'm sure the director Trans Nzoia County is under instructions, not just to place me in Kitale, which is the town, but maybe to take me to the border of Kenya and Uganda, Mount Elgon, or maybe somewhere. But there are teachers working, they are learners. I signed to work anywhere in the Republic, and so I'm taking it positively. But teachers should not be bullied when they speak the truth, because they always do it in social media. They shout, they rant in social media, nobody listens. And that is why we decided to come out and speak about the policies that are seriously affecting teachers in the Republic.
Previously, you were in which school and which county?
Superlove Primary School, Njiru Sub-County in Nairobi County.
So from Nairobi, na ile tunajua Nairobi there is house allowance. No. All the way to Trans Nzoia.
It doesn't matter so long as you have the children at heart. And teachers will never be paid enough. Never. So we believe that God will pay us in a way, because teaching at the end of the day, as much as most of us have come to it for salary, but I can tell you for the 25 years that I've been teaching.
25 years?
Yeah. Teaching is a calling. Kama una roho hii kazi uwezi, especially now with the workload. Yes.
We'll be talking about the workload. Dr. John Mogo, karibu sana. It's been a moment.
Asante Fred. Yeah, good to see you and thank you. You are doing good work here.
Asante sana. Yeah. Asante sana. I know you are passionate about CBC.
I'm passionate about improving learning.
Yes.
Because anything that opens the mind of the child and their possibilities and opens their world ought to be supported by everyone. And that's what we stand for.
Let's start with you. They've been 35 or more right now. I think around 40 schools that have gone up in smoke.
Yeah.
What is aiding our society from where you sit?
It's really unfortunate, because even banning one dormitory is bad enough. Because I know I'm involved in many boards of management. I know what pain it takes to build a dormitory, even just one class. And the fact that, I mean, this can be banned overnight after alumni, after parents, after teachers have gone all the way to build it up, I think it's quite unfortunate. I don't think anything can justify. You know, we'll talk about pressure, we'll talk about COVID, we'll talk about school leadership, but nothing can justify this kind of thing. But then schools don't manufacture any values. They mirror what happens in society. And I think what we are seeing in schools is not new. We have seen it outside here on the streets all the time. And so our children are watching us. And that's why we need, I think, to reflect, us as adults, us as leaders, how do we reconfigure values so that it starts with us, because values cannot be taught on the board, that sit here, I teach you. It will have to be us living them so that our children can pick the values. So even with the movement to CBC and value-based education, it will be just mere talk. Unless if from the president all the way down to John Mogo and others, we are able to demonstrate, to teach values to our children through living those values. And what we are seeing as torching, as banning, as you know, drugs and all that, I think it's a big reflection that we need to take as society. And now we are going to an elections year. Whatever we are seeing out here, you know, the havoc, you know, I think it's all reflected in what is happening in the schools.
Mother, would you agree with Daktari that, you know, as teachers, when you are seeing a dormitory going up in smoke, what comes to mind?
Charity begins at home. And when charity begins at home, values, we are told there is nothing new the teacher is teaching. I saw some clip somewhere where the parent says, saying thank you, please, sorry. Those are values that are taught at home. So when we see dormitories going up in flames, we see a reflection of the parents. We see a child and we see the reflection back home.
Sisi ndio shida, ndio unasema?
Yes.
How then do you tell a student, because they also have a responsibility, how then do you tell a student then this is the amount of money that you're going, because I've seen schools coming up with such large amount of money that they are supposed to pay back, some in millions of shillings that the parents are supposed to pay back. Where does the student start taking responsibility?
I want to believe that the moment there was this Children's Act that was passed, that is where the rain started beating us.
The one that decided to do away with the corporal punishment.
If I smack the child, the next day, you see, we were caned, and here we are. We didn't die. But the moment children are smacked and they go to their parents, you would slap a child because it happens automatically. But you'll not sleep in peace. You'll be sleeping like what will happen in the morning. They'll come with the mother and a P3. So you'll be arrested from school. So because we are, they say the bird flies without patching. So teachers have also learned to survive without losing their jobs. So we even if the clergy says we reintroduce caning, who is going to do the caning?
But then walimu wamekataa kupigana. Daktari, do you think the solution to what we are seeing is caning?
I think we are running away from the problem, because first, you don't put off fire by fire. You don't face aggression with aggression. Because when I am a behavior management teacher, and I am a teacher of teachers, and I know that teachers have been trained on alternative ways of managing behavior. Because when you cane,
here in Africa or in the US,
when you cane, when you cane, yes. Caning has its many limitations, and the fact that we were caned does not mean that caning will always work. I mean, if people are escaping from Kamete prison maximum, where all manners of things are done, then it means that corporal punishment also has its limits. I think this is a broader discussion. Is a discussion about values, and I think the big question for me is, we are talking about 40 schools out of nearly 5,000. So what is the story about those schools that never ban? What is it that those schools, because we know there are schools that are nearly as old as 100 years, they have never banned. Some schools, since 2016, you hear 5 times they have banned. So can't we learn from those schools? Because they don't ban because those students are being caned and these ones are not being caned. So I think a minimalist approach of saying let's now cane them will not solve the problem. We will just be suppressing an issue and not addressing the root cause.
However, have parents neglected the responsibility of disciplining their children? Because caning is part of disciplining. Have they neglected that? That is reflected in children in school?
I think parents have a big role to play in this. But also, you know, the interplay between parents and teachers, because at one point the teacher is a parent, and at the other point the parent is a teacher. But that responsibility of you being, teaching and disciplining your children. And there is I can tell you, Fred, there's a big difference between disciplining and caning.
Yes.
I think anyone who thinks that disciplining someone is only caning needs to learn more.
We were punished. Ourselves were punished.
Now, punishment works is just a negative reward. So there are many ways of sustaining good behavior. One of them is punishing. The other one, which really works well, like now the focus, honestly, at this point should be schools that are not banning, rather than schools that are banning, because we are giving these schools too much airtime. And we should be discussing, we should be having a principle here of a school that has never banned, for us to talk about not banning.
I tried reaching out to them. I'm telling you, coming on TV, they're telling you, nitaongea wateketeze yangu. We are talk to us. Who is to blame for the surge of cases of school fires? On our WhatsApp number, that is on 0785 939 529. That is on 0785 939 529. We are still waiting for Wilson Sosion. I'm being told they are miking him wherever he is. Hello, Mwitiriri. I am Peter Kenneth from Maseno University. The quagmire regarding school arsons rotates around the whole society. It starts from the government to school leadership and finally to our parents. Fake laptop promises, reduced moral lessons, poor leadership, occupational health and safety is a big word for some principals. Reintroduce corporal punishment. Daktari, unasikia hiyo? Reintroduce corporal punishment. Watoto wapigwe. All right, the issue of fires is 1, a mental health issue, and 2, mob psychology triggered. Ambassador Steve Mbogwa, that is my village mate, asante sana. Now, I'm being told that we have former Secretary General of NAT, Wilson Sosion. And Wilson, thank you so very much for joining us. The incidences that we have seen, what is the quickest way to solve some of these fires that we are seeing in schools today?
There have been reports that have been collected by various task forces from Claire Molo, David Koech, and Ms. Swangai. Those are 3 latest reports. And if you trace these fires, it's dated back to 2008. And they've been recurring with a very, very consistent pattern over time, that the students are banning dormitories. And if indeed we apply our psychology, why is it that students are banning dormitories? They're not banning classes, they're not banning laboratories, they're not banning the school buses, they are banning dormitories. And I'm sure if another fire incident is reported next weekend, it will be about banning dormitories. Today, there's a report that has been tabled in Parliament by the Ministry of Education, and is admitting that 100% transition and congestion and poor boarding services could be contributing. And indeed, we are all aware that the quality of boarding services in our boarding schools has gone down. With increased congestion in some schools, students are sleeping in twos. In some schools, students are sleeping in triple deck. In some schools, they have to queue to get to the toilets in the dormitories. In some schools, they have to queue to the bathrooms. And looking at the report that was tabled today in Parliament, it indicates that none of the day secondary schools, has reported any fire incident or unrest at all. And majority of, and from the previous reports of Naomi Wangai, David Koech, and Claire Molo, it recommended that Kenya has to shift gradually to day education. The statistics indicate that 70% of our secondary school students are day scholars, meaning these incidences of fire burning is restricted to a population of 30% of our learners who are in boarding schools and they're actually burning dormitories. And that should squarely, empirically tell us where the problem is. It is in the dormitories. It is in the boarding facilities. And comparing the quality of boarding services and home situation for many learners, then it means we might have reduced our boarding facilities in our schools and boarding section to look like a prison. And this reminds me of what Geoffrey Griffins of Starehe said, that you must create home models in schools, but you don't create prisons. We could have created prisons, and the students are prisoners in these prisons. And that is why they are reacting by burning. And this one we cannot escape and call it by a different name or give a different suggestion and or argue about whether you bring back the cane. If you bring back the cane, the students will start killing teachers because the cane has been outlawed and we have moved out.
Mheshimiwa, let's take a break. Let's take a break.
Practical solutions.
Let's take a break. We'll be back with more in a short while. We'll be back. That is the former NAT Secretary General, Wilson Sossion, also a nominated member of Parliament. We'll be back with him. Dr. John Mugo is here with us. Of course, we have Mother Omolo. Mother Omolo is a passionate teacher. We'll be back with them in a short while. Meanwhile, we're asking you who is to blame for the surge of cases of school fires. Talk to us on our WhatsApp number or SMS line on 111 444 111. Be back with more in a short while. Don't go anywhere. All right, and welcome back. You're watching Tipping Point. In studio tonight, I'm having nominated member of Parliament, Wilson Sossion. Of course, he's the former NATSEC Gen. He served for quite a long time. We have Dr. John Mugo, who is an education expert. And of course, the passionate teacher, Mother Omolo. Ananiambia amepigwa transfer tena to Trans Nzoia County. But she's saying, Trans Nzoia bado ni Kenya. All right, some of the SMSs coming through the WhatsApp number. I am Michael from Mutawala. As for me, don't blame us parents, blame the government for making life hard because we are busy searching for school fees. Indeed, I'm a parent, I'll attest to that. High rents, how children are going to eat. We have all sorts of burdens on our shoulders, so we take more time hustling to make ends meet than staying with our children. You didn't tell me all that is Michael. Thank you very much. Hello, Frederick. My sentiments are teachers should bear the burden of disciplining their students, not necessarily through canes, but they should be able to devise mechanism of addressing indiscipline, just like it is done in big schools like Alliance, where we haven't heard of any arson incidents. If students spend more time with teachers than they spend with their parents, who then between parents and teachers need to bear the number one responsibility? I believe the number one responsibility is for the parents, but we go to mother. Mother, unasikia, you stay with our children for such a long time. Actually, the person indicated 10 months.
Yes.
You are staying with our children.
Yes.
But here you told me that even if we introduce the corporal punishment, walimu wako wapi wa kupigana? What are you saying? Are you abdicating your responsibility, even as a parent and as a teacher?
Not really, because we cannot abdicate our responsibilities. What happens is where the right of the children ends, the teacher's right begins. And so when you tell me to punish this child by caning, it cannot work. So what do? We have the guidance and counseling sessions. We do them, but at the end of the day, I would really wish that parents would just, because when a parent of a standard 4 child comes to you and tells you, mwalimu chapa, mimi huyu mtoto amenishinda, what does that parent mean? So we are not abdicating our responsibilities. We are really doing it in the right way. And we realize the moment these children are home and they come back, you are starting from zero. Everything has gone to the drain. So parents really need to handle the bull by the horns and handle their children in the best way that they can, because the teacher just do the refining part of it.
Dr. John.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Wilson Sossion is suggesting that we do away with boarding schools, that this is where all evils emanate. Do you agree with Mheshimiwa?
It's a conversation that has been going on, the deboarding policy, but which makes sense, because institutionalizing children is a bad thing for society. And I think we embraced the boarding school like the norm. And the boarding school basically just withdraws children from the parents. So the boarding school should be an exception rather than the norm. Right now, I think even you find children, Fred, who are schooling across the fence, but the school does not allow the school does not allow them to come home, does not allow the parent to see them.
What in my world?
So I think we need to really re-examine, because the natural way is the children to be with the family, to be, let them go to a day school. If you're a parent and you know really what parenting and what educating is all about. It's not about getting an A. Getting an A is part of the story, but the bigger story is preparing these people, this generation, to take over from us. And so if we are giving them away to Mrs. Omolo and waiting after 4 months, then how are we preparing them really? Because the school cannot parent children. Children have to be parented by parents, naturally. But then I come back to the point Mwalimu is raising. I can tell you for sure, the one major predictor of a school that goes on fire is school leadership. Tell me who the principal of that school is and their style of leadership, and you'll see. Because adolescents need to be listened to. It is that stage where they need to talk to someone.
Yeah, they want to voice out.
Their voice matters. Peer influence, is a big thing. So principals who don't understand the game, that all you need is to get them to feel they are listened to. Create spaces where you interact with them. If you sit there in your office in a tower and they tell you they will ban, you tell them do it.
They'll ban.
Then it means actually.
In my adolescent life, I would have done that.
You do it because this bigger implication we are saying. I don't know how much the dormitory costs or how much the parent will pay. They are not wired at that age.
They really
to reason
actually
that
don't care.
Even you and I at that age, we were not reasoning that way.
True.
So I think school leaders really
matters a lot.
Need maybe to be taken back to class, and the classes, their own colleagues also. We have exemplary school leaders in this country who to learn from.
Let's bring in Mheshimiwa Sosion. There is just one aspect of these fires. When it started in 2008, we started by seeing the during mock exams. Is this the same thing that we are saying? And let me just come back to you, Dr. John. I'm being told that we are not having Wilson. But do you think this is where it's my director? You are telling me he's back? Okay, he is back. Sosion, you are telling me that this started in around 2008. Do you also think that the exam factor is to be blamed for the fires that we are seeing, that the students are fearing the exams?
It has no connection whatsoever with the curriculum, completely. And it is wrong to try and link it. And those who attempted to link it as because of ranking of schools, then ranking has been removed from the report that we received today in Parliament. And then the other question, the intensive mock exams, then mocks have been abolished in many schools. All those allegations that had been leveled against exams and other things have actually been corrected, but still we see fires. So it is not about the curriculum, because if it were about the mocks, then the students could have actually banned the laboratories to sabotage the exams. They could have banned the libraries to sabotage anything to do with the curriculum. What we see with our students in Kenya is that they are not touching anything, any facility at all that is related to the academics and curriculum implementation. They are telling us that there is something wrong with the boarding. And from the analysis, because data speaks a lot, and I'm happy Dr. Mugo has been one of the greatest researchers. If we are seeing that none of the day schools is involved in these assaults, then I think the data is telling us very clearly something about our boarding schools. And it has been worsened by government policies that are poorly consulted, that are poorly negotiated. When the director that let all the children be in school, it doesn't matter what they are doing as long as they are all in school. Do you really care to know how they are sleeping in school? Look at our school admission system. During admission days, the head teachers are issued with an already concluded admission list. And when they look at those admission lists, sometimes a school has been added 2 streams, 3 streams, without consultation with the board, without consultation with the school. And the head teacher is expected to go and perform miracles to create enough space in the dormitories, to create enough space in the sanitation facilities. Because let me tell you, the primary facility that is required in a school for a child is not the classroom. It is the toilets, it is where they stay. And I think with 100% transition and with our infrastructure not even prepared and made, our schools are not made to look like homes where there are comfort, then definitely we don't need to ask ourselves why students are banning schools. And they are not banning schools. Actually, I think we should change and make it very clear they are banning dormitories. So that indeed there is something wrong with the dormitory. It has nothing to do with the curriculum at all. At all, not at all. And therefore, you should not even blame the intensive curriculum that we have. From the report that we have today, we received today in Parliament, is that other out-of-class activities have not been in place.
As a member of parliament, what are you going to do to make sure that this does not happen? As a member of parliament, what are you going to do to make sure that this does not happen? If you are elected?
No, that is a straight-jacket question that does not require an answer. Parliament does not have that responsibility of running schools. We shall oversight the Ministry of Education.
It has the responsibilities of making laws.
Must provide. The Ministry of Education, honored, the Ministry of Education must provide right leadership. The report that we received today, the Committee of Education shall move and do further education and investigation on what is happening in schools. We shall audit on the basis of the matrix of the report. And we shall also look at the extent of public consultation in various policies, and particularly with this one of addressing the school unrest.
Yes.
The recommendation that has been brought forward by the ministry, like considering the future of boarding schools in Kenya and facing them out. And what Dr. Mugo is talking about is right. If you look at the global north, Europe and the US, the boarding schools are not encouraged at all. Children are expected to go back to their families after 5 in the evening.
Okay.
So that the raising of a child below the age of 18 is a shared responsibility between the school and the home.
Okay.
And I think our economy, we have reached that. We've got parents in this country. Who dump their children in boarding schools as early as Standard 4, and I've heard Mother Molo talk about it.
Which is
that
unfortunate.
When children are sent home, and when they get back to school, teachers have a lot of tasks in trying to retract the learners. And parental responsibility has failed very, very greatly in Kenya. And teachers are forced to play the role of parents, and at night they are forced also to play the role of security, of school building and security of learners. It has reached a time we transfer the responsibility after school work, after 5, to parents. And the only thing we need to do is to meticulously phase out the boarding school system in Kenya.
Thank you.
And prepare parents and abolish it even at the very primary level. Why would you take a child at grade 4 to boarding? What are the essence? And you have the majority of the learners in boarding. And then in the evening you have parents having their own time, enjoying in social places instead of being parents. It is time we shall be looking at all these extensive...
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. Okay. I asked you earlier on who is to blame for the surge of cases of school fires. Caleb, crash program has also contributed very much. Students are not given time to relax. In boarding schools, they do exams and study until 11 p.m. But what are you doing with the students at 11 p.m.? And they are also forced to wake up as early as 3 a.m. This makes the school like a jail. That is what Mheshimiwa Sosioni is talking about. Hello, Fred. I'm Gordon Opere, guidance and counseling expert. I will not forget to put a thinking cap over the school burning siege. A school near a church headquarters, and that is Gedia, being burned tells me a lot. Parents neglected their sons and daughters. Let schools, you are saying, wrestling here. Caning is a misconception created by the whites during colonialism to tame us that led us to thinking the best way of instilling discipline. Okay? Hi, Fred. Corporal punishment isn't the solution. Some students are stronger than teachers. Eliminating Vichwangomo and do away with boarding schools. Mwalimu, do you believe, you are the person who is at the core of all this, do you believe that we should do away with boarding schools?
Of course, but with certain limitations. We can allow a situation where maybe the child is an orphan and maybe has no one to live, to stay with. When that child is in a boarding school, we'll have a short time of even what we are referring to as suffering at home.
Yes.
So not every child should be taken to boarding school, and unless the situation at home is not favorable.
Daktari,
yes.
There is a conference that is coming up, and you are telling me about it earlier on, Education Evidence for Action. What are you aiming to doing, especially in capping such cases that we are seeing?
Mheshimiwa Sosion has talked about research, and in this country, we don't take research and evidence very seriously, because as he said, go back to the Naomi Wangai report, to all those reports. We actually know, and we have the evidence how the fires occur and why. But this moment, when we can look at that evidence, when we look at the issues, like now Mheshimiwa is talking about 100% transition, of course getting every person to secondary school has a lot of benefits, and we know that from evidence. So how do we get the people who make decisions, including Mheshimiwa, and us who do research around one table, to look at data, to look at evidence, and based on that, be able to inform the decisions that are made. Right now, there's a lot of street talk. When you hear, like now CBC, everyone has an opinion on how good or how bad CBC is. Most of the people making noise are the people whose children are not even in CBC, or whose children are even in high-cost private schools. And but that voice that is down there, a person.
Do you think CBC is going to cure such what you are seeing? Because it is giving some leverage to children having more time with your hands, more time than in class, but doing more with your hands?
It is going to help, because if you focus on the mind only and you forget the hands and the heart, then you're not developing the person. Good education is one that focuses on the potential of the child and looks for every way to enhance that potential so that they may reach the highest. And what now the current curriculum that I also went through did was to put everyone into one small hole.
844. You went through 844 or the earlier one? Daktari.
I went through 844, the earlier years.
All right.
So the issue was a curriculum that assumes that every child is cognitively gifted. And so only 10% of us were favored by that kind of a curriculum, that you'll go, you pass, you go to the university, and everyone else was dubbed a failure. So what
our teachers used to call us fools.
Fools or good for nothing.
Oh, yes.
So there is no one who is good for nothing.
True, absolutely.
Every child has a potential. And so
True.
This EE4A, Fred is going to bring us together, us as researchers and people who are working in big interventions, teachers and everyone else, to look at what is research telling us and what decisions must we make now to improve learning for every child. One of the issues, for instance, is equity. What Mheshimiwa is talking about, the same government schools don't look the same. They don't have the same facility. Yes, yet they are funded by the same taxpayer. So how can we make decisions based on data that improves learning?
Do we make decisions based on data in Kenya?
No.
Unfortunately. Mother,
Yes.
what must we do now? The children are on a break. What must we do now so that we don't see these fires coming back on our tellies, because we keep reporting about them? What must we do? A solution now. Wewe ni mwalimu, unajua hawa wanafunzi tutafanya nini?
Our wanafunzi, what we should do to the learners as they go for the break is really short. And I just wish that parents would offer guidance and counseling to their children. Talk to their children and make them understand. Just as you had earlier said that at that age, they don't really understand what parents are going through. But as a matter of concern, the short break that they have, parents should just sit their children down, talk to them, become their friends. And when you become your child's friend, they will open up. And unlike a parent who is very harsh, unlike a parent who doesn't care, but once you make the child your friend, because in school we have learned even to be their friends, and you realize that when the child comes to school, we'll open up to you more than maybe can open up to the parent. So what I would like to tell parents is that make your child your friend.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
Mheshimiwa Sosion, because I'm being told we don't have a lot of minutes, as a parent who has children who are school going, and as a leader, and as a former teacher, you have so many caps that you're wearing. What must we do right now? Mwalimu here is telling us that we talk to our students, but we know that we cannot abolish boarding school right now. What must we do?
No, we are not saying that we wake up instantly and close down all the boarding schools. We must have a systematic plan of phasing it out. And probably before we even thought of changing the curriculum, and I agree, curriculum must always be constantly reviewed to make it relevant, but the manner in which even CBC was done was wrong. The major reform was to look at reforming, reorganizing the stakeholders within our education system. The deboarding of our education system will create a new culture in this country that will bring values. What we have seen, in fact, with this midterm break, we should ask ourselves quite a number of questions, and I agree with Dr. Mugo. Let us be guided by research and planning. A ministry and a government that does not have a working planning department that plans on literally every area will do very little. And the question is, how many of the learners will have meaningful interaction with the parents during this midterm? I think we need to do more in preparing parents than even preparing students. Students have no problem. We shall release them to go home. But my biggest worry is the same parents will not have good time and quality time with the learners for the entire period of the half term.
Unfortunately, we've lost Mheshimiwa there. Now, Dr. John, in just 30 seconds, tell us about this event that we are going to have. Are we going to see any changes within our There are issues with CBC. I wish we had a lot of time to talk about it. And one of those issues that I'm very concerned about is the fact that we are introducing inequalities. Yes, some of these places in town, we are going to have all these, but other places, how are you going to deal with that? In just 30 seconds.
Teachers are not being honest, because when we say that you are supposed to have a swimming pool for you to teach children, you know what a swimming pool should do is the same thing running should do. It's the same thing doing any other exercise. So it's supposed to be contextual, and so the biggest thing is that many teachers, I think most, we have not invested enough to help teachers understand what this is all about and the shift.
Okay.
So what we should do is continue these conversations.
Yes.
Just like we are talking about school fires. Let this conversation, let every adolescent in this country be told there are many choices that you cannot ban. You can go to the gate and open it and go home, but you cannot ban, because banning what has been built really.
30 seconds. 30 seconds. What do you think from here you as a teacher are going to do towards this?
The school fires?
Yes. As a teacher?
As a teacher, mostly we are realizing that the schools that are burning are boarding schools. I happen to be in a day school. But I think the fire problem should be discussed further. And there is a lot of pressure.
On students?
Not on the students,
all right,
on the teachers.
Okay.
It is on the teachers. You find a situation where your timetable goes beyond 40 lessons in a week. How are you supposed to juggle in between? You find you're handling big numbers. You are talking of CBC, we are saying it is good.
Thank you.
But as much as it is good, let us be given realistic numbers to work with.
Final SMS, Boaz, my director, is telling me, talker on air. I'm sorry, corporal punishment is not the solution. I agree with that. We are living in a different generation. Every day may not be good, but there's something good in every day. My name is Frederick Mwitiriri, my sign language interpreter. Michael Maidhia. I heard Mother Omolo, who is a teacher, and from Teachers Pressure Group, I heard Wilson Sosion, who is nominated Member of Parliament, former NAT Secretary General, and of course, Dr. John Mugo, an education expert. Thank you so very much for having time for us, and thank you, our viewers. So many of your WhatsApp that I have here. Asanteni sana for coming to the show. Until next time, it's a good night from